Urgent. Ukrainian defenders have turned the occupied territories into hell for the occupiers. Special Operations Forces drones have turned oil depots in Crimea into a fiery inferno. Donetsk is shaking from explosions. A Shahed drone warehouse has been leveled to the ground. The Ukrainian Armed Forces are breaking through enemy defenses. The deoccupation has begun. Proof of the fiery apocalypse and the first steps of liberation in a sensational report. Daria.
A unique operation that lasted for months ended with a spectacular explosion in the middle of Donetsk. According to locals, nothing like this has ever been seen before in the occupied territories. Where did the strikes hit? What was destroyed? And most importantly, what did the Ukrainian Armed Forces use to strike?
Judging by the special effects and the massive explosions, Flamingo missiles were used.
So, let's go through everything step by step. Last night, a powerful explosion rocked Donetsk, after which, according to eyewitness videos, a fireball resembling a nuclear mushroom cloud rose into the sky and windows were blown out in buildings several kilometers from the epicenter.
The windows were blown out.
Actually, this is the Oktyabrski airport area. A large ammunition depot. Missiles hit there. There's no official information yet, but people are already talking about an ammo depot. I watched the video. It's spectacular. Most likely, it really was a very large missile or shell depot, because in the video, the explosion looks like something out of a sci-fi movie or a computer game. And then there was a second explosion. You could clearly see this glowing, rapidly expanding shockwave. So it was a very successful strike on the Donetsk depots.
A bit later, the head of the Ukrainian Armed Forces drone systems, Robert Magyar Brudi, clarified the situation. According to his information, the strike hit a large depot of Shahed-type drones where warheads were also stored.
Tracking down this complex target turned into a months-long, painstaking intelligence operation pieced together from small fragments. Last night, it was struck by the appropriate means of the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces and missile troops of the Defense Forces.
Analysts note that despite the long range of the Shahed drones, it was extremely important for the Russians to keep the drone depot close to the front line. After all, when the occupiers launch UAVs just a few dozen kilometers from the line of contact, the Ukrainian armed forces simply do not have time to respond quickly. And as a result, the drones carry out their terror in frontline cities and also strike at the forward positions of our troops.
Disrupting the logistics of supplying shells, missiles and drones to the Pokrovsk direction, to Pokrovsk itself, is exactly what we need right now. This is very important for us right now.
But what the defense forces in our command chose not to disclose is this. One thing is certain. Drones definitely took part in the attack, but something else followed them in as well.
As the footage from there shows, it was clearly not just drones at work. There was, as can be understood, they were distracting the local air defense, but the final blow was delivered by something resembling a rocket. It may have been a drone or possibly a missile.
Reports from Magyar about the participation of Ukraine's missile forces in the attack also indicate that missiles were indeed used.
I don't think the warehouse with Shaheds was unprotected, that it was just simple hangars. Most likely we're talking about some kind of underground bunker. And that's another reason why I think these were Flobings. Of course, they could have used Storm Shadow as well. Storm Shadow would have been suitable here too. They have a bunker busting capability. Nevertheless, the scale of the detonation shows that, at least it seems to me, if you look at the first second, the explosion there was clearly bigger than a couple hundred kilograms of Storm Shadow's warhead.
So yes, most likely these were indeed our Ukrainian Flamingos. By the way, this is already the third time just this week that they've inflicted colossal damage on the Russians. But in Crimea, such power wasn't needed, so drones were sent to attack the peninsula. In occupied Simferopol, around 2:30 in the morning, a fire broke out at an oil depot. Reportedly, this concerns Krimneftezbit in the area of the village of Bitumnoye. There were also reports of 4 strikes in Gvardeyskoye, after which smoke rose into the sky. There, the hits likely struck the local thermal power plant, which temporarily ceased operations.
voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
A strike of retribution. Ukrainian Armed Forces drones attacked the Kostroma thermal power plant, one of Russia's energy giants. The Kremlin is in panic. Nothing can save the Russian rear anymore. Even Moscow is plunging into utter darkness, cold, and hunger. And in Crimea, a new nightmare has begun. An oil depot, Crimea, has caught fire in Simferopol. Fiery plumes can be seen for dozens of kilometers. On the front line, it's hell for the occupiers. Pokrovsk is holding the line. Ukraine is not giving up a single meter. The Ukrainian armed forces stand like a wall. The enemy is drowning in losses. All the details are in our military review, which you can't afford to miss.
Breaking news for the occupiers. According to local social media, after a drone strike in Simferopol, the Crimea oil depot in the village of Putin'S is reportedly on fire.
It should be noted that after the strike by Ukrainian drones on the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea, 3 fuel and lubricant facilities are burning. Due to special operations, key fuel and energy infrastructure facilities in the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea, which are currently involved in supporting the logistics of the Russian occupation army, have come under drone attack. This oil depot is one of the key facilities for storing fuel and lubricants and accordingly is involved in the supply structure of material and technical support.
Drones attacked one of the largest power plants in Russia, the Kostroma State District Power Plant, GRS. Reports indicate explosions and a fire at the facility.
This power plant supplies virtually all the central regions of the Russian Federation. Accordingly, it is primarily involved in supplying electricity to enterprises of the Russian military-industrial complex. It should be noted that this power plant supplies virtually all the central regions of the Russian Federation. Therefore, strikes on this facility within the territory of the Russian Federation, which is a legitimate military target, have not only military economic significance, but above all, political and ideological implications as well.
In addition, drones visited the Lukoil oil refinery in Volgograd, which is also considered significant for the occupiers' army. And this is a video from the Special Operations Forces. It shows the destruction of an enemy storage base, the assembly, and the launch of a Shahed drone at Donetsk airport. It is noted that more than 90% of the drones launched by the Special Operations Forces reached their targets. Pokrovsk is neither surrounded nor under enemy control. Most of the city is a gray zone. Both the Ukrainian Armed Forces and Russian opposition forces are present there, according to deep state analysts.
There are also ongoing and accordingly successful actions to unblock logistics for the armed forces of Ukraine. Special operations units, the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and other components of Ukraine's defense forces have been deployed to the city. In addition, the grouping of Ukraine's defense forces in Pokrovsk has been reinforced. It has been increased with operational reserves and supplemented with armored vehicles.
In this footage, fighters from the Skelya Assault Regiment returned the Ukrainian flag to its rightful place, namely to the city council building in Pokrovsk, which confirms that the city stands firm, just like all of Ukraine, and will surely withstand all the trials prepared by the occupiers. Sensational. The Ukrainian defense industry is breaking the mold. Our engineers have created their own version of the Chinese Shmaviks. And this is just the beginning. The factories are running like clockwork. Every day brings new drones, armor, and targeting systems. The speed is lightning fast, the effectiveness is deadly. We will show how Ukrainian minds are forging victory right before the eyes of the world. Watch exclusive footage right now.
Reconnaissance, fire adjustment, and target destruction using dropped munitions. The Chinese Shmavik drone is almost the main weapon of the Ukrainian armed forces in the war against the occupier. And now Ukrainian industry has begun supplying domestically produced Shmavik-type UAVs to the front lines.
A certain Mr. X invested, created a Ukrainian Shmavik, and we'll see it soon. We've already delivered the first 1,000 to the battlefield.
Compared to the Chinese Shmavik, the Ukrainian counterpart has a greater flight range and can carry a larger payload. It is used not only for reconnaissance but also for strike missions. The importance of the appearance of Ukrainian drones in this niche is hard to overestimate, since there are huge problems with the supply of Shmaviks to Ukraine.
DJI has banned sales to Ukraine, piously stating that its products are not intended for military purposes, so drones have to be purchased from third parties. The security issues are obvious. The Pentagon has banned any use of DJI drones, which send data back to the manufacturer. DJI has also added security features that make it impossible for the latest models to fly in geo-blocked zones, including Ukraine, without extensive hacking. Finally, sovereign drone production appears to be a key strategic capability for the future.
The Chinese Mavic drone's counterpart is called the Shmavik, and despite its ironic name, it has already passed. It has been certified and boasts some serious features.
The Shmavik is positioned as a tactical reconnaissance drone designed to carry out operational tasks on the front lines, unlike the civilian Mavic, which is mainly used for aerial photography and videography. The Shmavik is built for combat conditions. It has an operational range of up to 15 kilometers, a flight duration of up to 60 minutes, and is equipped with a reliable navigation system that is resistant to interference.
As early as last year, the government announced its interest in replacing Chinese drones. Now, manufacturers have already completed certification of Ukrainian Mavics, and production has been established.
As of today, it is impossible to completely replace the entire fleet of foreign drones currently being used in Ukraine in the short term. Our weapons manufacturers already have developments and designs in place that meet the needs of our security and defense forces. Now it is necessary to scale up this production, minimize the number of foreign equivalents as much as possible, and transition to domestic models.
There are already many Ukrainian analogs of the Mavic, including Ukr-Porter, Yaitia, and the charming Shmavik. They are larger than DJI Mavic drones and are equipped with long-range communication. They are more resistant to interference and cost more, but they may turn out to be more economical due to their greater reliability.
For us, the key indicator is not the price per drone, but the cost of a single mission. While a typical Mavic performs about 60 missions per drone, our systems average around 300 missions per unit. With a comparable purchase price, the cost of a single mission is 5 times lower. This means that military units operating our drones receive a much greater overall economic benefit. Drone manufacturer.
Independent UAV production is a crucial element of modern warfare, and Ukraine knows this better than anyone. Because short-range UAVs and long-range strike drones have become key components of national defense,